Thanks for viewing and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, subscribe so you don't miss the latest uploads. As they prepare to leave the dungeon, RMC informs him how he can be a healer and also acquire a halo like him. Furthermore, RMC says with the halo he can acquire a sacred skill like healing, purification and such, but he will need to invest points to raise it to a rank, and he will need to spend around Chris gets ready to invest his points right away, but the goddess doesn't want him to be a healer now. He's hesitating to invest those points because he's been saving them to meet the guardian saint Ms. Healer. She also agrees with him, but he thinks that his current state is pathetic, and he also thinks that the guardian saint would be even happier if he could become a magnificent hero. So he invests all his points into the divine protection skill.
Don't do it!
Now that he has become a healer, the goddess abandoned him too.
I'm so done with this.
This is sad. MS Healer really is a sad individual. Anyway, back to the story. The Chris invests the 10,000 points and has risen to the position of C rank. RMC informs him that it is easier to get from D to C, but it becomes much more difficult from there. Now that Miss Healer has left, the moderator informs RMC about the dungeon's exit. Sido then notices someone there. All of a sudden the moderator and Rogue leave from there, but before leaving, Rogue tells him to be on high alert, but they don't have time to explain in detail.
Sido, be on guard. Someone is outside the exit. We can't explain right now, but we gotta go. Someone is coming. Sido, be safe.
Sido is confused about what is going on. They found the exit when they come outside. Our healer Sido tells Chris to step aside, as this guy has heard about Sido, the venomous healer.
I've been waiting for you, kid.
Sido notices the guy is not just some fallen hero, he is dangerous, and it appears that this guy's god is the beard guy from before when RMC was in his previous party. The beard god was his party leader's god. The guy tells them that someone named Suho sent him there and they are going to die today, and it seems like Sido also knows of this god. Sido then asks the guy how did he escape from his grasp in the past. The guy tells him nothing special happened. When he woke up after sleeping, there was a prophecy on the wall. Sido gets shocked after hearing the word prophecy. The guy tells him that the prophecy was like, do this, kill that person, and at this time. The prophecy was how, when, and where about killing Sido.
You ready for the afterlife?
They get ready to fight and Sido activates his Avenger title. He attacks the guy with his poison, but the total dice roll was 5 a die lure, so his poison could not penetrate the guy's aura. The guy attacks him with his axe, but Sido blocks the axe, then strikes back. RMC then notices something. The guy seems too weak compared to his tattoo count.
What you looking at?
He attacks with his triple thrust, and the guy blocks 2 of the strikes, but the third one hits him. He descalms that this isn't the first or second time he's been pushed into this situation, and every time he lost consciousness and woke up he would find everyone dead.
When I fall, something tells me you'll be finished.
Sido strikes him again, and after hearing the guy's words he has finally understood what Rogue meant at that time, that sometimes when necessary players or gods personally descend, and right now that beard player is planning to descend. He asks the moderator about his current probability value.
Moderator, where are you? Speak.
He becomes enraged at the moderator for not answering his question. The moderator informs that his current probability value is 53. With that probability value, he can descend for 3 minutes.
So I can descend, that time is more than enough.
He prepares to take over the guy's body. Sido urges Chris to move back further. This time the sky cracks and the lightning falls on the guy. And the player, i.e. God, has descended. The axe comes to his hand like Thor's hammer or axe. Moreover, the hammer begins to shake and returns to its original owner. The player is surprised that Sido is not surprised by this situation.
Not surprised?
Sido expected that someone would come to get the hammer. The beard player attacks him, but he dodges that attack. He then attacks with his hammer. Sido blocks the attack, but the power is too strong and he falls to his knee.
Boy, it's time to finish you off.
Sido prepares to inject special poison into the axe when the dice are rolled, and the total is 4 with his brave duelist bonus. The player strikes him once more. At this point, the attack lands on him. Sido rolls his dice again, but it's no use because the player is about to kill him.
No way to escape, boy.
The moderator informs the participant that his likelihood score of 86 has been exceeded. The player prepares to finish him off, but RMC rolls his evasion dice and fails again. It's not looking good for RMC. leaving him
Comes the
helpless.
final blow.
He doesn't want to accept his demise like this. Chris, seeing his big bro in a difficult situation, prepares to employ his god's protection on his big bro. The dice roll is 6 success blocking. The strike. Once Sido finds his chance and frees himself from the clutches of the player, he uses his great heal skill to cure himself, and the probability value has reached 96. The player prepares to flee,
Time
but
to
stops
go.
when he hears Sido shout, "Run away!"
What did you say, boy?
Sido mocks him further, stating, "I'm just a mere human, and yet you're fleeing because you can't even kill little ol' me in time." The probability value has reached 98. The player gets furious and turns
Shut
back,
up.
prepared to finish off RMC this time. And all of a sudden the probability value reaches 100. He collapses to the ground on his knees. Sido then asks him how it feels to meet the same destiny as his fallen hero. At this point, the player realizes he's about to die since a bright light appears from his body. Sido receives 87 points for conquering the fallen hero, and another window appears, stating, "Godslayer, you have achieved an impossible achievement," and the probability drops. The exceeded probability value decreases his probability value to 0. Chris is amazed to see that incredible battle, and he didn't know that a god could come down personally. Sido tells him to keep that a secret because there's a reason why it's kept unknown. He understands that but is perplexed why that god suddenly vanished while emitting light. Sido tells him that he may have returned to where he was before, but actually that guy has vanished, and if Sido's probability value reaches 100 he will too. Sido tells Chris to go find their party members and inform them that they have returned safely. He still has something to attend to, so he will meet them at the end. Next, Rogue is relieved that Sido is unharmed. He asks her why she suddenly left back then. She apologizes to him, and if she met with that warrior it would raise his suspicions.
I'm sorry, Sido. If I would have ran into that guy, suspicions would have been raised.
Killed a god. She asks him what he's going to do now.
So what's next for you?
His goal hasn't changed regarding Miss Healer, but he already knows that she abandoned Chris. But that's not the case, because abandoning a hero requires points.
She can't, as she doesn't have enough points to do that. As of now, she has 0.
He must raise Chris in her place. When RMC enters the chamber, some individuals are waiting for him. He is the person from the undead event. His name is Pierre, and they have fallen under the command of the Holy Saint. Sido is perplexed as to why the Covenant came to meet him after he had dealt with the virus back then. However, they have heard about everything and now know there was no special agent or spy in the Covenant.
We know there was no special agent or investigation, our dear friend. We know it was Hans, and you had no other choice.
Sido was the one who protected both the town and the Covenant's name by not revealing that Haynes was the one who caused the second catastrophe. Pierre begins to cry, stating that if it hadn't been for Saint Sido, that town would have been converted into hell, and the honor of the people would have been lost. The Covenant would have been ruined, but the Holy Saints said that she will recognize Lord Sido as the actual saint, and they have also erected a statue of him in that village.
Oh, dear saint, we are deeply in your debt. You are our hero. A statue in your honor is the least we could do.
Sido is taken aback by the news. He is grateful for the gesture, but he believes it was a little too much, and he is grateful that they did not come to interrogate him, and Pierre has come to take him to church and officially receive his appointment as a saint.
Please, saint, come with us. We won't hear a no for an answer.
Next, they arrived at the Covenant headquarters, and Yuna comes running to him, happy to see him again,
Nice to see you again, Sido.
and she prepares to take him to the Holy Saints. On their way, Sido starts to hear some voices, and they are talking about him. They come to the same test room, and the guard outside the door asks him to leave his weapons with him. They then enter the Santess's room, and it seems like the red-haired woman is the Saint's. It seems that her voice is combined with a player's voice, and they are speaking same exact words at the same time.
We were impressed by your dedication. Will you continue to stand with us in the future?
Sido thanks her, and he's honored to be given this opportunity of having an audience with her. However, hearing both the player and Test talking at the same time from Test body, he is feeling something is off there, but he will go along with it for now, and when he sees the chance he would escape. Next they come outside and Pierre takes him to his room, but Yuna still wants to talk with Saint. Sido enters his room and hears some voices again. The players are talking about him, and by the way he notices they are unable to watch him inside of this room.
Such a shame. I wanted to see more.
Sido thought that the same test is a native resident, but she was actually a hero, and he is surprised thinking how is it possible for her to speak word for word as a player. He has never seen such a case before. He hears the player talking again, and they are talking about him again. They have heard that the one who brought him there is intending to use him to start a war with the king of the northern wilderness, and one lady player is excited for that, and Sido is listening to them very carefully, and the
War. There's nothing better than creating legends. Our king truly has grand ambitions.
one they are referring to as the great king, he thinks that might be the player of the holy saints in the northern wilderness. They are talking about it's the place where the indigenous people with a ban on the entry of heroes resides. He doesn't know the details, so he doesn't go along with it. He gets ready to leave, but here's a voice saying, "Are you trying to run away?" Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed it then please like and stay tuned for the next part because it's going to be a big